everybody and welcome back. Now in this tutorial I'm going to be showing you how to draw perspective but using inside of a building, in other words a room, and how we can use 1 point perspective. So what I'm going to do is take a photograph of my studio because it's got a really nice wall at the back. I'm going to use that as a basis and I'm going to transfer to an overhead shot to show you how I would construct this using pencil lines. So let's get stuck in. Hi everyone and welcome. Now what you can see on the video here is my iPad and a photograph of my studio. And what I'm going to do is look at how we find the vanishing point. So we're going to look at 1 point perspective in this room. So what we're looking to find are these lines here. I don't know how easy or hard it is to see on the video, but you can see a line here where the wall joins the ceiling. And if I had a ruler, I'm not going to draw on my iPad, but if I had a ruler and extend that all the way through, that line would come somewhere in here to the centre. What we're then going to look at is look at where the wall joins the floor and that line here. And there'll be a point at which these two lines join, and it's going to be somewhere about here. And then this line here will join there. So my vanishing point on this room here is roughly somewhere here. What you could do, or what I could do, is get some tracing paper and draw over this if I wanted to. I'm just going to see if I can do this without things moving. No, it's going to move. I haven't mastered the art of drawing over an iPad without it actually responding, but let's see if I can just very quickly, very roughly go over those lines. Going to keep moving. There we go. So if we do that, you can get the general sense of where that vanishing point is going to be. So my vanishing point is roughly here. Let me put that on a clear background. So you've got, this is the back wall, that is the floor, and these are the lines. So this is the ceiling line, okay? So that's roughly where the vanishing point is, 1 point perspective on this particular picture. Now what I've also done is I've moved slightly further over, so my viewpoint in the room has now changed in this second picture. So you can see that the ceiling line, comparing this little tracing I just did, very roughly without a ruler, compared to here, is very, very different because I've moved to the left of the picture. So these lines are now, this is much flatter than it was before. Okay, so these lines, they still join, but the vanishing point is more probably somewhere up here. Okay, so that's the vanishing point here. Next picture, I've moved much further over, so I'm much closer to this left wall here. And you can see now the vanishing point is more over in this direction. And it's almost where my eye line is. So this is almost how tall I am, where my eyes are looking and taking the photo from. So where the camera has actually taken the photo from. So hopefully you can see those lines here. It's the ceiling lines, okay? I think I did one final one, which is almost bang in the middle. And again, you can see these lines will extend down here, and there's a vanishing point probably of about here. So what I'd recommend you do is go to a room within your home where you can see the back wall, and if you can, take photos and do what I'm doing here. Look at the photographs either on a device like a computer or an iPad or a phone, and kind of start to identify where those vanishing points are. That will help you. From here, we're then going to do a drawing of a room using your knowledge of this 1 point perspective within a room. So it's almost like you're within a cube, let's say, within a rectangle, within an area. So let me grab a piece of paper and explain what I'm going to do. So I'm going to roughly work with this layout here. So if I was to find the vanishing point, I'm going to do it without the tracing paper. My vanishing point, so that line extends through to here, that line comes down to here. It's almost, I'm almost bang on, okay? So wherever your vanishing point is reflect where you are within the room. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw the back wall. Now you can use a T-square, or I've got a cutting mat here. I'm just going to line my ruler up with the T-square, not the T-square, the lines of the cutting mat. Okay, now if you want your perspective to be accurate, then being accurate with your lines will help. If you just want to get a gist and a general sense, then slightly more, I suppose slightly less accurate lines will give you a general sense, but they won't be completely accurate. So what you'll find when people generally teach perspective is there will be T-squares like Maisie has been teaching with, and measuring to make sure things are accurate, because perspective generally is accurate. I am never one to be super accurate, so we may not be accurate with this. So we've got our back wall here that I've drawn. What I'm now going to do is place the vanishing point, and where I place this will then reflect where I am within this room. So let's imagine I'm sort of almost, I'm about so tall compared to the room. This is where my eye line is, and I'm going to stand right in the centre of the room. And then from that vanishing point, I'm going to draw this line. So this is the floor, this is the wall, this is the ceiling, and this is the other wall over here. Okay. So just to show you, I'm going to draw this bit really lightly. Okay. And I'll draw in my other ceiling line. I'm drawing slightly harder the lines that are going to stay in place. My construction lines, as in the imaginary line that runs from the vanishing point to the corner of the room, I'm just drawing very lightly. And what I have done here is marked in vanishing point, wall, floor, da da da. Okay, so this has given me my basic construction. So I am in this room. Okay, so then basically everything else within this room is going to follow the vanishing point and the line. So if you remember back to this picture of my studio, we've got pictures on the wall here, the little gallery section, we've got this radiator. You can see these lines are going to follow the vanishing point. These lines of the work surface are going to be parallel to the front and the ceiling, but these lines here, the edges, are going to work towards the vanishing point, as is the counter here. Okay, so I'm just going to start to mark in some of these things. So here I've got the top of my pictures. So I've got sort of 3 pictures going on here. One is very close to the door frame. I've got another one here, and then another one starts to work here. So if I was marking these in using a pencil, I'd start to sort of mark in these lines. And the pictures are all different heights. So I've got a tallish one there, got a slightly shorter one there. So I'm working with my ruler to mark the tops and the bottoms of these. I've got a picture up here, and I've got another picture just starting from here, and it's about the same parallel. Again, I'm not one for being super accurate. I tend to rush things and go by eye. I'm a big I go by eye kind of person, which is not great when you're doing perspective. So you can see I'm lining my ruler up against this vanishing. So this vanishing point is your friend when it comes to perspective. So if I was going to mark in the radiator, the bottom of the radiator, I've got the skirting board first of all, so let's just mark that. We've got the bottom of the radiator. Let's say we've got the top of the radiator, which is around where the door handle is. So let's just see how, and you can measure. So, say you've got your picture here, if you're going for a similar height, have I actually done a similar height? No, slightly smaller. you can sort of measure relatively where is that door handle. It's not halfway, it's lower than halfway. I'd guess by eye it's about there. And your eyes do start to begin to more accurately depict distances and things. So for example, where the door is in this picture, it's not halfway, it's roughly a third, it's just slightly under a third of the way down the page. So when I'm not sure on something, I just mark it in lightly. Okay, so my door is here, so my radiator is just below the door handle, maybe just slightly lower, just about there. So I'm then going to mark in this little radiator. Okay, there we go. So you can see how we just start to mark in, and I've got some very lovely straight lines in this particular bit of the studio, which are really great to work with. You may have things that are not quite so straight. You know, the door is lovely and straight, the work surface is lovely and straight, it's got horizontal and vertical lines. I've got all these wonderful gifts within the studio to work with in terms of straight lines. Okay, so I hope it gives you an idea. So what I want you to do is find a room, find a viewpoint, take a picture of it and work out roughly where your vanishing point is, and then start to mark down in pencil on a piece of paper. I'm working on A4 with a pencil and a ruler, some of the major elements of your room that you're working with. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue working, marking in various areas, and then I'll rejoin you again in a few moments. Okay, so hopefully that has showed you where I've marked in a little bit more of the items and things within this room. I've constructed the shelving and work surface unit. Annoyingly, the chair in my actual reference photo is blocking this corner here, which is slightly difficult for finding the line. So I could have moved that chair out of the way. But I've used vertical lines and horizontal lines for this shelving unit. The printing press you can see here, the edges of it fit to the vanishing point. This shelf that I'm going to pop on the wall here, this again follows the vanishing point. The items stuck to the wall here, and there are some photos here, little frames. Those are just horizontal vertical lines because they're on this back wall. And even the lines of the sort of computer screen that I've got here will, sit within the vanishing point. So what I tend to do is use pencil and the vanishing point to construct the major elements within a picture, within a drawing. So I've marked out the major shapes, the big bits of furniture, the door, all of these things here. And then what I tend to do is put the ruler away, and then I start to fill in and complete the drawing. So what you choose to do with your drawing from here onwards is completely your choice. You could carry on working in pencil, adding in some shading. So I did start to sort of, build in some sort of shadows. So you could carry on working with your pencil, or you could bring in some colour. So you could use some of the examples that Maisie has done using watercolour washes, or choose any medium of your choice. But I would certainly use a pencil and a ruler to mark out the inside of your room, get your major construction lines down, certainly the walls, ceilings, floor, major bits of furniture, and anything with a straight line where it's going to be easier for you to use a ruler than not to get those pieces in place. And then you can start to have fun with the details. But if you've got everything positioned correctly, you're 80% of the way to making this look like an actual room, and it's going to make the viewer of this piece feel that they're in the room, standing as if they were taking this photograph of the room themselves. So it's got this real immersive sense of being in the box, of being with your eye line looking at that particular point in the room. That's where the photograph, the camera is taking a picture of and from, is of that particular spot. Okay, so have a lot of fun with this. If you just want to do this part and just kind of get your major construction lines in and exercise done, that's great, go for it. But if you want to build up and finish the piece, you can do. So it's completely your choice as to whether you pick 3 or 4 different viewpoints in a room or of different rooms and just work on this, or start to actually finish pieces off. Okay, so that is getting some 1-point perspective within a room. Have a lot of fun.